Welcome to the Pandemonium Witches podcast, where the ADHD has just a touch of autism, where the true crime is as scary as the hauntings and unsolved cases. But the hosts never stay on topic for long. I'm Kat.
I'm Rachel.
I'm Em.
And I'm Meg.
Keep your arms, legs, and other extremities in the vehicle at all times, and enjoy the show.
Good mornings.
Good morning. I had a cookie for breakfast because I'm an adult.
Cookies are perfectly amazing as breakfast. I love that.
You're having cashews?
I'm having these.
Butter. You're having butter?
Butter tablets. They're
Yellow.
Yellow?
Ah.
Uh-huh. Is it like
they're
toffee?
I was about to say it looks like toffee.
kind of like they're kind of like fudge.
Okay.
I get them in my wee box from Scotland.
You said they
So-
came in your weed box?
B-box.
Wee WEE box.
She's not that kind of person, Emily.
Listen, and my offer still stands. You want me to fight that guy for you?
No.
You sure? I'll win.
Mm.
Oh, string bean, have an ass.
No, because you're fucking scrappy.
That's the whole point.
You get that from your mama. Rock meet hard place meet rock.
Yeah,
Right.
like I need the Topamax, otherwise I'm non-functional. But like I also need food, which is why I have this 2-pound container of cashews, because at the very least it's protein. This is 2 pounds.
You want to get nutted? I'm going to get you nutted. That's what's going to
Right.
So-
What I used to do was if the food was on the table in front of us, so we were doing like family style
Mhm.
dinner, I had to start learning how to, am I having seconds because I'm actually hungry, or am I eating it because it's there in front of me?
Yeah.
Which I had to learn how to do that, and do that recognizing.
We are currently experiencing technical difficulties. Please stand by. Finish eating your cashews.
Oh, well, that.
So, last time we talked about Ed Kemper,
Mm-hmm.
which Emily does not like talking about those cases. No.
I say as I literally talked about one of the cases.
But I mean, like, I did some research. I found some pretty fun things, and Rachel did some research too. But
I did.
are we?
I did manage to carve out some time to do some research at work this week. So that's the good thing about working 3 12-hour shifts, is that I have time for like the first 4 hours. Usually I can carve out to just do things, because I still have maintenance, I still have housekeeping, I have 2 guards, one competent guard, one warm body,
We're
but
not
I
gonna
still
talk
have yeah, no. But because I have housekeeping and grounds and maintenance still, I don't have to do those calls. They get called instead, so I have this extra time. So I was able to do a topic on my list.
That's actually really cool.
Yeah.
Her job's pretty
Plus-
fucking sweet.
Plus, with doing 3 12s and 1 8, I get 3 days off. So I really like that part.
Hey! No.
So, Rachel,
around a mouthful of cashews.
what do we have today?
So I have Albert Fish.
Ugh.
Fish.
Tons of trigger warnings on this one.
So I'll insert it right here. This is a Pandemonium Witches podcast trigger warning. The following episode contains graphic violence and gruesome depictions. Listener discretion is advised.
It's rather nasty.
Like how we got to re-record it. We've talked about some pretty nasty shit. Like what?
So
basis?
He was only tried for one child's murder.
We're talking about kids?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't realize that until I got like halfway through it and I was like, shit.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he basically he left a last statement to his lawyer and his lawyer refused to read it.
Good.
Let me find it in my notes.
Oh, you have it.
So at a meeting with reporters after his execution, his lawyer, James Dempsey, revealed that he was in possession of his client's final statement, which was several pages of handwritten notes that he apparently penned in the hours before his death. When pressed by the assembled journalists to reveal the document's contents, Mr. Dempsey refused, stating, "I will never show it to anyone. It was the most filthy string of obscenities that I have ever read."
God damn.
Yeah.
I just
like when his lawyer's like, nah.
I just put his
not even publishing this. Okay.
I wonder
have a couple
if there's like a place where you could read it though.
I don't know. So he committed his murders, molestations, amongst other, and sexual assaulting during the 1920s or 1910s to the 1920s. Up until like he was caught in the early 30s.
Disgusting.
Mm-hmm. There have been several different documentations, films, movies made about him that I will discuss later. I have 3 photos of him in my file if you want to pull those, Kat.
All right, cool.
They're at the bottom. And then the last 3 photos, last 2 are of the girl that he ended up getting tried and convicted for. And then the bottom one, it has its caption underneath it. Anyways, so he was born May 19th of 1870 as Hamilton Howard Fish. But he chose the nickname Albert. He wasn't given that nickname. He chose it.
Gross.
Yeah. He died by electrocution January 16th, 1936.
I do have to say the first picture that pulled up was him in the electric chair. Typically what they did is they put, the bag over the head with the sponge. Yeah,
but
right?
They didn't do it with him.
Girl, I gotta see this photo.
Okay.
he has a very creepy face.
Hit me with that morbid shit.
All right.
I'll let your cat do that because I looked at it and I was like, I'm not putting it in my file. I don't want to stare at that.
All right. So as you can see, if you look at the photo.
Oh, I've seen this photo.
So they tied him down, but they didn't actually put the sponge on his head.
Yeah.
I think they were still like working on that, maybe.
Probably. Because this was mid 1930s, so they hadn't quite perfected the technique yet.
No, but I mean, like, they still put like their feet in water or whatever, but it looks like he was fully clothed and he had shoes and everything. So now I'm like,
well, I'll get to that later, but there was rumors about why it took so long for him to die.
We will get to that at the end. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Because things. Yeah. So he's an American serial killer, rapist, child molester, and cannibal.
I know I'm gonna hate today.
Loaded cannon.
I already told Meg that her quote, "Thanks, I hate it," is now on almost every episode. So thanks. I hate it.
Seriously.
Yeah.
He committed at least 3 child murders between July 1924 and June 1928.
Disgusting.
I say at least 3 because he says he did more, but they could never find any evidence or bodies. So
Ew.
They could only charge with what they had because this was the 1920s. So there wasn't much they could do. He was known as the Gray Man, like Gray, because of how his skin color was, and his skin color was kind of grayish, and he had gray hair because he committed these murders as a much older man. So he had gray hair.
I hate it. Thanks.
Yeah. He also known as the Werewolf of Wysteria.
Oh man, and I have Wysteria tattooed on me.
Why I couldn't figure out why that one, it didn't make sense to me. The Brooklyn Vampire, the Moon Maniac,
sorry,
and finally the Boogeyman.
Yeah, I can see the Boogeyman.
He was suspect in at least 10 murders during his lifetime, but only confessed to 3 that the police were able to trace to a known homicide. He also confessed to stabbing at least 2 people. He was just confessing all kinds of things.
Just all sorts of shit.
He once boasted that he had children in every state.
Ew.
And not biological children.
Ew.
And at one time stated his number of victims was about 100.
Oh, I just threw up a little in my mouth.
Same.
I'm sorry.
It's your fault.
However, it's not known whether he was referring to rapes, cannibalism, or if that statement was even true or he was just lying out of his teeth. So he ended up being caught on December 13th, 1934, put on trial for kidnapping and the murder of Grace Budd. Grace went by the nickname Gracie. I'll discuss her more in a little bit. But that was the victim that ended up getting him caught. And so he was convicted and executed by electric chair on January 16th, 1936, at the age of 65.
65?
Yeah, which is why he was known as the Gray Man, because he was old.
Poor kids.
I'm taking a picture of that one kid so I can put it in the chat.
So that's why he was also nicknamed the Gray Man, because head full of gray hair. He looked like a elderly man, so
You know who he reminds me of in this photo? H.H. Holmes.
No.
Look at it.
Fuck,
yeah.
Right.
It's the bowler hat.
It's and the stash.
And the mustache, yeah.
And the stash.
It was the 1900s for you.
Everybody had that.
That photo was actually on my... And that was his mugshot after being arrested for grand larceny in 1903.
I don't want to say good for him, but like, I can understand it.
Right.
The sepia photo I have in my file under that was from 1889 when he was 19 years old and he was arrested for forgery.
Damn it, dude.
Yeah, he was a class act.
Class something.
Yeah. So he had, just the best, just the best family life. As I say, very sarcastically.
Of course. You got to sprinkle in that trauma.
Oh, yeah. So he was born in Washington, D.C. to Ronald Fish and Ellen Frances Howell. His father was American but had English ancestry. He was 43 years older than Elaine and was 75 years old by the time Albert was born.
Ew.
Yeah. He was a fertilizer manufacturer and was a former riverboat captain.
Toot.
October 16th, 1875, he suffered a fatal heart attack at the Baltimore and Potomac Railroad Station. So Ellen was Scots-Irish American, and she put Albert into St. John's Orphanage in Washington, where he was frequently physically abused.
God damn it.
There it is.
He began to enjoy the physical pain from the beatings, where it all starts. By 1880, she had secured a government job and was able to remove him from the orphanage because she was able to take care of him again.
Yeah.
So she put him in there with good intentions. It just didn't turn out that way. So...
That's how it always goes.
Right. So he was the youngest child and had 3 living siblings: Walter, Annie, and Edwin. And he wished to be known as Albert after a sibling that had passed.
Ooh.
So I kind of laughed at this. So he chose the nickname Albert because he wanted to escape the nickname of Ham and Eggs that he was given at the orphanage.
Are we gonna call him Ham or Spam? Can we call him
So
Spam?
in my notes, I have him as H&E instead of Fish because we make fun of the killers.
Yes. Well done.
Humanize the victims.
Well
He's
done.
Sam I Am.
He is.
Green
He's Green Eggs and Ham. Oh, because we still... we love the Dr. Seuss books, but we can't buy them because he was a terrible person.
Yeah. Oh, maybe we should just do an episode. No, that would get the big mouse after us.
Yeah, let's not.
Yeah, good idea, but no.
Good intentions.
Post it on TikTok.
I got asked if we were going to get a TikTok.
Are we?
I don't know. We have an Instagram account.
Yeah, we have a Facebook.
We have a Facebook. Oliver,
guys, shameless plug.
Right. Oliver
Go
does have a
follow it.
Facebook. It's TPW3M podcast, guys. But I don't know if I want to. I haven't posted on TikTok in a while, in a hot minute.
Yeah,
Right.
me neither.
Yeah.
I doom scroll. I have yet to post any videos on there. I just doom scroll.
That's fair.
Anyways.
Yes. Back to the case.
Back to the horror.
Back to the horror.
Yeah. So apparently his family had a history of mental illness. It's in the genetics.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately. So we had an uncle that had mania. One brother was confined to a state mental hospital.
Oh.
His sister Annie was diagnosed with a mental affliction. 3 other relatives were diagnosed with mental illnesses.
Mm-hmm.
And his mother, Ellen, had aerial and or visual hallucinations.
Oh. So all over, not a good time.
Yeah, no. He was doomed from the start. Between genetics and then childhood, just done.
You're gonna be fucked, my guy.
Right?
Boom.
So this is when it starts getting a little nasty.
Mm-hmm.
When he was 12 in 1882, he began a relationship with a telegraph boy. This boy introduced Spam to things like drinking urine, I have in parentheses, gags, and eating poop, also known as feces. And in parentheses, I have even bigger gag.
Yes.
Look, man, we don't kink shame here. Sorry, I had to.
I don't kink shame, but sometimes I kink ask why.
I kink concern.
Yes.
I kink porque.
Yes. So he then started visiting the public baths where he could watch other boys undress and spent a great portion of his weekends there. He would also write obscene letters to women whose names he acquired via classified advertising and matrimonial agencies throughout his life. So for those that don't know, the matrimonial agencies were like matchmakers, or kind of like how we have dating apps now, but this was a brick and mortar place that would kind of set you up for dating and marriages.
Matchmaker, make me a match. Find me a
pretty
fight.
Much.
Catch me
Now,
a catch.
Pour the tea. I'm supposed to be doing laundry. I should probably do that.
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
So, in 1890, Spam moved to New York City. He engaged in male prostitution and began molesting and raping boys, mostly less than 6 years old.
I'm sorry?
I hate it too.
Mm-mm.
In 1891, his mother arranged a marriage for him because she's like, time you settle down. It's time you get married to a good girl. Produce me some grandbabies. So she arranged it with Anna Mary Hoffman, who was 9 years younger than him. They ended up having a total of 6 children. Mm-hmm. Albert, Anna, Gertrude, Eugene, John, and Henry. So in 1903, Spam was arrested for a grand larceny, was convicted, and incarcerated in Sing Sing prison. So, little fact about Sing Sing. It used to be the Sinning Correctional Facility, and is a max security prison operated by the New York State Department of Corrections and Community Supervision in the village of Ossining, It is 30 miles, which is 48 kilometers, north of Midtown Manhattan on the east bank of the Hudson River.
Disgusting.
Yes.
Also, if you're a fan of Law and Order or SVU, they talk about Sing Sing an awful lot.
I fucking love SVU. Oh. What the?
Everything good?
Yeah, he
Crush is just being crushed. Got it.
Yeah, he bit my toe.
Ah, okay. So Spam later recounted an incident where a male lover took him to a wax museum where Spam was fascinated by a bisection of a human penis and subsequently became obsessed with sexual mutilation.
Ew!
I told you this was going to be a nasty one.
It's just the horrendous velociraptor face.
Right.
We need to start taking screenshots or something, and then like every so often putting them up on the Instagram, like, and this is how we actually felt during the show.
Right.
I could if we get enough comments. I'm still waiting for our first comment.
What? Really?
I know. I'm going to the website right now because it lets me know if we get comments. Nothing.
I think I was one of the few commenters when I was originally listening.
And then you became a
fold.
Comment below. Comment below your favorite host. There you go.
Comment below your favorite episode. How about that?
I like that.
Comment on your favorite episode. Let us
rewind. Take 2.
Let us know what you liked about that episode, and then we will respond, and we will definitely give you a shout out on our show, like we do for Sarah. She doesn't
Total
like.
Side note.
Max?
I got the stickers to make the cups.
Oh, you did? Yes.
Yeah.
You didn't order it through that sticker company, did you?
Oh God, no.
Oh, good.
Okay.
No, God, no. I used a different one, a small business here in.
Oh, locally? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Sweet. We love that.
We support small business.
We do.
So I will hopefully on my shop here shortly be selling podcast stuff.
Merch!
Cute.
And what's the merch going to say?
It is, so it's got our logo on it. And I managed to pick up some stuff to make like blood splatter.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Love it.
And it's gonna, I was thinking I was gonna run it past you guys before I was put on the spot.
Too bad.
Surprise.
Putting something on it like murder and possums.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
And then our host cups are all gonna say our names. And it's going to have the episode number and the date of our favorite episode on it.
Sick.
That's going to be hard to pick an episode that's our favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Because I like all of them so far.
I mean, seriously, me too. But it's my baby. I like all of them.
And these are some pretty big freaking cups, too.
They can't be as big as the one that I have.
I mean, I was about to say...
Hold on, let me...
We're taking just a siesta break.
What did I say?
Okay.
Yeah, that's the same size as we have.
Yeah, but they're big freaking cups.
They are.
Yeah.
40-ounce cups.
Yep.
Yeah. It's like roughly 1.5 liters.
Roughly.
And it comes... Yeah, it's like 1.1 liters.
Yeah.
And it's insulated. It comes with a straw, and it's got the cool lid.
I love that.
Love it.
Yeah.
And so when I start selling this stuff, because I have a couple of weeks gap before I start my new job, I'm gonna just make a whole crap ton of merch.
Might as well while you got the time.
Yeah. Right. They're gonna be. You can either choose the 40 ounce, like this, in black or red. or you can choose it's like the stainless steel tumbler, like the shorter ones. I think they're 18 ounces, 18 to 20 ounces,
I think
and
20.
white or silver, and then they just get, decorated.
Yeah.
Okay.
That'll be fun.
So,
I'm
but
excited.
yeah, merch, guys.
Merch.
Hey, you ready to go back to the drama?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like him, but let's go back to the story.
Okay, let's see. So around 1910, Spam was working in Wilmington, Delaware, where he met 19-year-old Thomas Bedden.
Mm.
He proceeded to take Thomas to where he was staying, and they began a sadomasochist relationship.
Masochist?
Yes.
Masochistic?
Yes, that word. Sadomasochist. It's the CH and then the S's right in the middle of the word. But it is unclear if it was a mutual consensual relationship because Spam's confession implied that poor Thomas, I say poor Thomas for what happened a little bit later, was intellectually disabled.
Oh, no.
Oh. So after 10 days, 10 days after he had basically kidnapped or abducted Thomas, he took Thomas to an old farmhouse where he proceeded to torture poor Thomas over a period of 2 weeks.
Jesus.
He would eventually tie Thomas up and then cut off half of his penis.
Ew.
Yeah. Spam recalled, "I shall never forget his scream or the look he gave me." Well, no shit. You just cut off half his dick. Like,
Lorraine above it. Sorry.
He intentionally had intended on killing Thomas, cutting up his body, and taking it home. However, he feared that the hot weather would cause the body to draw attention to him. So instead, he poured peroxide over poor Thomas's wound, wrapped it in a Vaseline-covered handkerchief, left a $10 bill, kissed Thomas goodbye, and then left.
I don't think that's how that's done.
No, not at all.
Just gonna.
And the quote is,
put that out there.
"I took the first train I could get back home. I never heard what became of him or tried to find out."
He nasty.
Yeah. Well, I guess Anna got tired of his shit because in January 1917, she left him for a handyman that was boarding with them named John Strawby.
Okay.
She didn't take the children. The two adults went off.
Jesus.
With nearly every possession the family owned. Apparently, he was said to say that she took everything in the house, didn't even leave a bed for the children to sleep on.
Gross.
So, with Anna leaving, it forced Spam to raise their children as a single parent. Around this time, he began to have auditory hallucinations.
Of course he did.
Of course. And he once wrapped himself in a carpet saying he was following the instructions of John the Apostle.
Okay, you and I both know that's not how that works.
Oh, no, not at all. But he believed it. This was around the time he started to self-harm by...
No. Don't say it.
by embedding needles
No!
into his brain and abdomen.
Oh.
You just had to say it.
It plays into effect later on, okay?
Oh, God. All right. Okay.
I know, I hated it too. I had to read it multiple times to make sure it was accurate information, okay?
I don't like you right now.
I didn't like myself, okay? I wanted to bleach my brain.
You can't do that. That means no, not allowed.
Jeffrey Dahmer tried that. It does not work.
It does not work. Learn more at our podcast.
Right?
That was my episode.
It was. So after his arrest, X-rays revealed he had at least 29 needles in his pelvic region.
Oh God, that noise.
That
Yeah.
that was what my brain was doing, but no sound was actually coming out of my mouth.
Right.
Yeah.
So he also would hit himself repeatedly with a nail-studded paddle and would insert wool doused with lighter fluid into his anus and then set it alight.
Okay, kids, don't do that. That's don't do anything that this guy's doing, because that's
The cat is trying
At
to
all.
escape the room after
Yes.
hearing that.
Trust me, I wanted to escape the room after reading it. Good note, though. He was never thought to have physically attack or abuse his children.
okay. That is good.
Just
That is-
other people's children.
Well,
But he did encourage them and their friends to paddle his ass with the same nail-studded paddle that he used to abuse himself.
begging your pardon, begging your finest pardon, as Nurse John says. What in the Everly?
CPS? Yeah, this one right here.
Right here.
All of this right here.
Good golly.
So he supplied a biographical information while in captivity. Would you like me to read it?
Yes.
I was born May 19th, 1870 in Washington, D.C. We lived on B Street, Northeast, between 2nd and 3rd. My father was Captain Randall Fish, 32nd degree Mason, and he is buried in the Grand Lodge grounds of the Congressional Cemetery. He was a Potomac River boat captain running from D.C. to Marshall Hall, Virginia. My father dropped dead October 15th, 1875, in the old Pennsylvanian station where President Garfield was shot, and I was placed in St. John's Orphanage in Washington. I was there till I was nearly 9, and that's where I got started wrong. We were unmercifully whipped. I saw boys doing many things they should not have done. I sang in the choir from 1880 to 1884, soprano, at St. John's. I came to New York. I was a good painter, interiors or anything. I got an apartment and brought my mother up from Washington. We lived at 76 West 101st Street, and that's where I met my wife. After our 6 children were born, she left me. She took all the furniture and didn't even leave a mattress for the children to sleep on. I'm still worried about my children. You'd think they'd come to visit their old dad in jail, but they haven't. I wonder fucking why.
I wouldn't visit you in jail either.
Seriously.
So around 1919, he stabbed an intellectually disabled boy in Georgetown. Can we start to see a pattern here with, the disabled
No,
children?
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately. He chose people who were either mentally disabled or African American for his victims, later explaining he assumed that these victims wouldn't be missed when they were killed. He later claimed to have occasionally paid boys to procure other children for him.
Ha!
Right.
He tortured, mutilated, and murdered the young children with his implements of hell, which included a meat cleaver, a butcher knife, and a small handsaw.
Good Lord.
July 11th, 1924, he found 8-year-old Beatrice Keel playing alone on her family farm on Staten Island. He offered money to her to come and help him look for rhubarb. And she was going to take his offer because it's money and my family could use the money. When her mother proceeded to chase Spam off.
Of course.
So he left, but returned later to the family farm, where he tried to go to sleep in the family barn.
Why?
Before Beatrice's father found him, probably doing evening chores or something, or the animals were making noise, so went out to investigate. Found Spam in the barn. Made him leave. And because of that, Beatrice's life was saved.
Good.
During 1924, he is now 54. He was suffering from psychosis and felt that God was commanding him to torture and sexually mutilate children. That's not how any of that works. At all. So, because Beatrice didn't pan out as a victim, thankfully, during the night of July 14th, 1924, 9-year-old Francis McDonald was reported missing after he failed to return home from playing catch with friends in Port Richmond, Staten Island. So a search was organized and his body was found, hanging by a tree in a wooded area near his home.
What the fuck?
He had been sexually assaulted and then strangled with his own suspenders and then hung in the tree with the suspenders. During an autopsy, it was learned that Francis had also suffered extensive lacerations to his legs and abdomen, and his left hamstring had almost entirely been stripped of its flesh.
Ah! Ooh! Ha! Ah!
No.
Yeah, I know. Spam refused to claim responsibility for this, although he later stated that he intended to castrate the boy, but fled when he heard someone approaching the area.
What the fuck?
Yeah, he was fully intending on mutilating Francis.
I hate that on a spiritual level.
Yep. So Francis's friends had told the police that he was taken by an elderly man with a gray mustache. A neighbor also told the police that he had observed the boy with a similar-looking man walking along a grassy path into the nearby woods. Francis's mother, Anna McDonnell, said she saw the same man earlier that day, telling reporters, "He came shuffling down the street, mumbling to himself and making queer motions with his hands. I saw his thick gray hair and drooping gray mustache. Everything about him seemed faded and gray." This description resulted in him becoming known as the Gray Man.
Thanks, I hate it.
Me too. Francis's murder remained unsolved until the murder of Gracie, when several eyewitnesses, among them the Staten Island farmer Hans Keel, Barbara's father, positively identified Spam as the odd stranger seen around Port Richmond on the day of Thomas's disappearance. Richmond County District Attorney Thomas Walsh announced his intention to seek an indictment against Spam for the boy's murder. At first, Spam denied the charges. It was only in March 1935, after the conclusion of his trial for Gracie's murder and his confession to the killing of Billy Gaffney, who I'll mention in just a moment, that he confirmed to the investigators that he had also raped and murdered McDonald.
Jesus.
When this confession was made public, the New York Daily Mirror wrote that the disclosure solidified Spam's reputation as the most vicious child slayer in criminal history. So, on February 11th, yeah.
You must have taken a few breaks on this, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I did. Because I started this Wednesday night. Got to his first murder. Did his second murder Thursday. Friday, finished it up, and then last night I was by myself because my guards curled out, so I didn't get I got it like a little bit of a chance to kind of look over and make sure I had everything, and then
right,
that was it. But yeah, no, a lot of doom scrolling on TikTok and doing a lot of breaks. So, Billy Gaffney. On February 11th, 1927, 3-year-old Billy Beaton and his 12-year-old brother were playing the hallway in Brooklyn with 4-year-old William Billy Gaffney. When the 12-year-old left for his apartment, both younger boys disappeared. Billy Beaton was found later on the roof of the apartments. When asked what happened to Billy Gaffney, Billy Beaton said, "The Boogeyman took him." Billy Gaffney's body was never recovered. Initially, serial killer Peter Kudzinowski was a suspect in the murder. Then Joseph Meehan, a motorman on a Brooklyn trolley, saw a picture of Spam in a newspaper and identified Spam as the old man whom he saw on February 11th, 1927. The man had been trying to quiet a little boy sitting with him on the trolley. The little boy was not wearing a jacket and was crying for his mother before being dragged by the man on and off the trolley.
No means no. Okay?
Yes. Billy Beaton's description of the Boogeyman matched Spam. Police then matched the description of the child to Billy Gaffney. Detectives of the Manhattan Missing Persons Bureau was able to establish that Spam was employed as a house painter by a Brooklyn real estate company during February 1927, and that on the day of Billy's disappearance, he was working at a location a few miles from where the boy was abducted.
Of course he was.
Billy's mother, Elizabeth Gaffney, visited Spam in Sing Sing, accompanied by Detective William King. She wanted to ask him about her son's death, but Spam refused to speak to her. However, Spam claimed the following in a letter to his attorney. "I brought him to Riker Avenue Dumps. There is a house that stands alone not far from where I took him. I took the G-boy there, stripped him naked and tied his hands and feet and gagged him with a piece of a dirty rag I picked out of the dump. Then I burned his clothes, threw his shoes in the dump, and then I walked back and took the trolley to 59th Street at 2 a.m. and walked home from there. Next day at about 2 p.m., I took tools, a good heavy cat of nine tails, homemade, short handle, cut one of my belts in half, and slit these half in 6 strips, about 8 inches long.
Mm-hmm.
I will not read the rest because he gets very detailed.
Okay.
Just for all of our mentality or mental health, and for our listeners' mental health.
Now, if we do have any gross or disgusting listeners, they can look it up. If you so choose to ask, we'd be more than happy to giving you the link of where Rachel found her information, because we keep all of the links for all of our research.
Yes. Let me skip down to the bottom. So he cut off Billy's head, feet, arms, hands, and the legs below the knee.
Mm-hmm.
This he put into sacks weighed with stones and tied the ends and threw them into the pools of slimy water you will see all along the road going to North Beach. Water's 3 to 4 feet deep. They sank at once. I came home with my meat because he proceeded to strip pieces of meat from Billy's body.
Oh my God.
And so basically he made a roast out of some of Billy. He made a stew out of other parts. He literally details how he cooked it and how he did it. And basically saying that he enjoyed it and that he ate every bit of it in about 4 days.
Oh, Jesus.
But the bits that he could not chew, he threw into the toilet and flushed.
Funny story.
So,
my old apartment did not have a garbage disposal. I love Miss Cat. I love her dearly. But how am I supposed to cook food without a garbage disposal? So for food I couldn't salvage or for food I couldn't keep, I had to put it in the toilet or throw it in the trash.
Because it was the only way to dispose it.
Because it was the only way to dispose of it. So if it wasn't like soup or anything like that, or like eggs, like sometimes I would, do spells that involved eggs, and I would have to just put it in the toilet and flush it. It was so funny because she's like, I hear you flushing that toilet an awful lot. And I was like, I don't got a garbage disposal, Miss Cat. So anytime
I've been like that. No, I just poop a lot.
Yeah. Sorry. Bowel movements,
You gotta pee constantly. Small bladder.
I do have a very small bladder, though. But, yeah. I mean, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me.
No, I'm pretty sure it was spam. Spam was the problem.
Yes, spam is definitely the problem.
So there is one boy that after the first two boys' deaths, but before Gracie's death, there is one boy that survived.
Oh, okay.
So shortly before his abduction of Gracie, Spam attempted to test his implements of hell, as he called them, on 10-year-old Cyril Quinn, who he had been molesting. So unfortunately, he didn't escape unscathed, but he still survived.
Right.
So Cyril and his friend had been playing box ball, which is basically Foursquare. I had to look it up because I was like, box ball? What the hell is that? Oh, Foursquare. Okay. That makes more sense.
I mean, I like the name box ball better, but that's...
Right. But like, it makes sense because, you're playing in a box.
Right.
So they were playing this on a sidewalk when Spam asked them if they had eaten lunch. When the boys, told him no, he invited them into his apartment for sandwiches. So the boys were wrestling on Spam's bed, which seems a little weird, but like depending on how, like if it was like a studio apartment,
right,
it would make sense. They managed to dislodge his mattress, under which was his tools. The boys saw them, became frightened, and got the hell out of Dodge.
Ooh,
Oh, really?
good.
Freaking
They,
smart.
they
Wait.
ran out of the apartment.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Like,
Right? Like, yay. Like, he still got some mental scars, but he survived.
Right. I don't think anything, aside from a good therapist, I don't think anything else could possibly help that.
Right.
I got a 79-cent solution.
Does it involve a tarp and a shovel?
It's a 79-cent solution.
Emily.
What?
That's how people get caught.
I mean, he wouldn't really have been missed, so I mean...
No, it wouldn't have, you know.
Okay, so a little jump forward in time.
Okay.
So he was still technically married to his wife, even though she left him. He proceeds to marry somebody else.
Oh.
A lady named Estella Wilcox on February 6, 1930 in Waterloo, New York. They divorced after only 1 week.
Good for her.
Right?
Good for her.
So he was then arrested in May 1930 for sending an obscene letter to a woman who answered an advertisement for a maid.
What the fuck?
Following that arrest and then another arrest in 1931, he was sent to Bellevue Hospital for observations. So
what our listeners need to know is that Bellevue is a mental institution.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh
well,
God.
The observations played in the state's favor in the murder trial, so...
Goodbye, friends.
Goodbye, cruel world.
Goodbye, crew. They're coming out with a third.
Are they?
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, my back.
I know, like, I saw an interview from Betty Midler where she absolutely, it's been her favorite character to play, and that she still finds herself sometimes just randomly doing the voice, doing the lips, doing the looks, the whole 9 yards.
Yep.
Because it was her favorite character to play. And I was like, yes, I love that was her favorite.
I'm stuck.
I'm stuck on Band-Aid brand because Band-Aid stuck on me.
No, I fell in and I cannot get up.
I stretched and felt a pop in my back.
Oh, shit.
No.
Okay.
I mean, it was a good pop.
Oh, well, in that case.
But, like...
Now you're stuck.
Hi, guys.
Welcome to my podcast.
Can you guys even see me?
I can see
Yes.
your hand and your nostrils. Those look like some nice nostrils there, Emily.
Yes.
Ow, it hurts to laugh.
But it felt
And
good.
maybe it wasn't a good pop.
Right.
Or does it hurt because you're sunburned?
I think it's that one.
Okay.
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 As long as it wasn't from the pop, we're good.
No, the pop was like mid-back. The pain is like my ribs.
Oh.
Ah. Okay, so backtrack a little bit. Back to,
The gruesomeness.
May 25th, 1928. 1928. Spam saw a classified advert in the Sunday edition of the New York World that said, "Young man, 18, wishes position in country. Edward Budd, 406 West 15th Street." Because that's how people did adverts then.
It is.
So May 28th, 1928, he's now 58. Spam visited the Budd family in Manhattan under the pretense of hiring Edward. He introduced himself as Frank Howard, because Howard was his mother's maiden name, and that he was a farmer from Farmingdale, New York. Because why not be a farmer from Farmingdale? Because hard to keep track of that. So he promised to hire Edward and his friend Willie, and said he would send for them in a few days. He did not return, but sent a telegram to the family apologizing and set a new date. For this new date, so when he did return, he met Edward's little sister, Grace, who was 10. Grace went by Gracie. That's when he decided to shift his attentions from abducting Edward to Grace, and very quickly made up a story about having to attend his niece's birthday party. He managed to persuade Delia Bridget Flanagan and Albert Francis Budd Sr., Gracie's mom and dad, to let her accompany him to the party that evening. He proceeded to take her to an abandoned house that he had previously picked out to use for the murder of his next victim, who he had originally planned to be Gracie's older brother, Edward. Once there, he manually strangled her to death, decapitated and dismembered her body.
Good God.
And then ate most of her remains over the next several days.
What? Okay.
The police originally arrested Charles Edward Pope, who was a 66-year-old superintendent, on September 5th, 1930, as a suspect in her disappearance, having been accused by Charles's estranged wife. Because that just sounds like a fun woman to be married to.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Loads.
I see why they're separated. He spent 108 days in jail between his arrest and then trial on December 22nd, 1930. He was obviously found not guilty because he didn't do it.
Right.
On November 1934, an anonymous letter was sent to poor Grace's parents. This letter ended up leading the police to Spammy, and Grace's mother was illiterate, so she had to have one of her sons read the letter to her. I can read the letter because it's unaltered, but I will read sections of it.
Sections, not the whole thing. Because again, we are humanizing the victims and dehumanizing the killers. Let's just only read the fluff bits, if you're okay with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
that's fine.
All right.
My dear Mrs. Budd, in 1894, a friend of mine shipped as a deckhand on the steamer Tacoma, Captain John Davis. They sailed from San Francisco to Hong Kong, China. On arriving there, he and 2 others went ashore and got drunk. When they returned, the boat was gone. At that time, there was a famine in China. Meat of any kind was from $1 to $3 a pound. So great was the suffering among the very poor that all children under 12 were sold as food in order to keep others from starving. Basically goes on to say, child on the street was not safe. You go to any shop and ask for meat, and part of a body would be brought out, and the meat would be provided from the body.
No.
Yeah. John stayed there so long he acquired a taste for human flesh. On his return to New York, he stole 2 boys, one 7, one 11. He literally proceeds to describe his murder of, Billy.
Jesus.
Yeah. So at that time, I was living at 409 East 100th Street near Right Side. He told me so often how good human flesh was that I made up my mind to taste it. On Sunday, June the 3rd, 1928, I called on you at 406 West 15th Street, brought you pot, cheese, strawberries. We had lunch. Grace sat in my lap and kissed me, and I made up my mind to eat her.
What?
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad you were able to sit up.
I've been up for a minute now.
Yeah.
Well, I just happened to look over, so.
Yeah, it was a whole thing. You ever see a turtle trying to like get back? Yeah,
It was definitely this like aerial crab walk type of thing.
I'm sorry I missed it.
It was
Just
all right.
laugh.
I heard the tippity tap, so you were scrolling on your
sorry
notes.
Yeah, you had to.
I have a silent mouse coming, so
you're
so
good.
I can scroll without the tippy taps.
Doom scroll. I don't know. I kind of like the tip taps.
I don't mind it. It's kind of
soothing.
It is a bit soothing. It's like ASMR.
Enjoy
soothing sounds.
Tippy taps.
Tippy tap.
I went too far. Oh no!
I love
Went
how
too
we
far
were
with my
thinking
tippy
the
taps.
same thing.
Huh?
I love how we were on the same wavelength. It was like, it's soothing, it's ASMR. We say at almost the same time.
Right?
Whereas my dad said, "Ismer."
I mean, it's close.
He's not wrong.
Okay, so back to this disgusting letter. On the pretense of taking her to a party, you said yes, she could go. I took her to an empty house in Westchester I had already picked out. When we got there, I told her to remain outside. She picked wildflowers. I'm not going to read the rest because it is disgusting.
Fair enough.
It took me 9 days to eat her entire body. And then went, I did not fuck her, though. I could have had I wished. She died a virgin. Why the hell he decided to put in that last part is just mind-boggling, because you literally just admitted of eating her child. What the hell?
Psychopaths do weird shit. All right?
This is true. So the police investigated the letter because obviously they turned it over to the police.
Right.
Captain Davis and the famine in Hong Kong could not be verified. The part about Grace's murder was found to be accurate in its description of her kidnapping and the subsequent events, although it is impossible to confirm if Spammy had actually eaten parts of her body, because by the time they arrested him, digestion, whatever.
Right.
Couldn't tell. So the letter was delivered in an envelope that had a small hexagonal emblem on it with the letters NYPCBA, which stood for the New York Private Chauffeurs Benevolent Association. Started getting sloppy.
Right. He's leaving. Oh, I like this. He's leaving traces.
Yes. So obviously, the cops are going to look
Right.
into this.
Mm-hmm.
So a janitor that was with the company informed the police that he, the janitor, had taken some stationery home, but had left it in his rooming house at 200 East 52nd Street when he moved out. The landlady at this rooming house informed police that Spammy had checked out of the same room just a few days prior, and stated that his son had sent money and that he had asked her to hold his next check for him. So, Detective William King, who was the chief investigator for the case, for Grace's case, waited outside the room until Spammy returned. So that way he wasn't seen.
Right.
Spammy agreed to go to the station for questioning and then proceeded to brandish a razor blade at the detective.
Why did he think that was a good idea?
Like, nowadays, that would have been another charge.
Right.
That would have been a charge all by itself.
Right.
Detective King was able to disarm Spammy and proceeded to take him to the station anyways. Because, listen, you going one way or the other. So, we can do this the easy way or hard way. Okay, it's going to be the hard way. You're going to go with some bruises now. And probably some cuts.
Right.
Of course, well, surprisingly, Spammy didn't deny killing Grace, saying that he meant to go to the house to kill her brother Edward, and it never even entered his head to rape her. Like, okay. Like, I'm glad, but at the same time, she still ended up dead. Later, he claimed to his attorney that while kneeling on Grace's chest and strangling her, he did have 2 involuntary ejaculations.
That is disgusting.
Yeah. This information was used at the trial to make the claim that he did the kidnapping as being as sexually motivated, to avoid any mention of the cannibalism. So they were trying to, like, avoid the cannibalism because it, it's nasty. What he did, though, was far beyond that.
Right.
Okay, so we're now to his trial and execution. Almost done. So his trial for the murder of Grace began on March 11th, 1935 in White Plains, New York. Frederick P. Close presided as judge, and the Westchester County Chief Assistant District Attorney, Elbert F. Gallagher, was prosecuting attorney. Spammy's defense counsel was James Dempsey, who was a former prosecutor and the one-time mayor of Peekskill, New York. This trial lasted for 10 days. He pleaded insanity and claimed to have heard voices from God telling him to kill children. Several psychiatrists testified about his sexual fetishes, which included...
Oh, no.
Sadism, masochism.
Masochism.
Masochism. That word is always so hard for me.
That's okay. So is everything else for me. It's
fine. Flagellation. Exhibitionism. Voyeurism. Picurism. Cannibalism. Coprophagia. Urophilia, hematologia, pedophilia, necrophilia, and infibulation.
How about no?
I think I counted like 8 different things. So in Dempsey's summary, he noted that Spammy was a psychiatric phenomenon and that nowhere in legal or medical records was there another individual who possessed so many sexual abnormities. The defense's chief witness was Frederick Wertham, who was a psychiatrist with an emphasis on child development who conducted psychiatric examinations for the New York criminal courts. During the 2 days of testimony, Frederick explained Spammy's obsession with religion and specifically his preoccupation with the biblical story of Abraham and Isaac.
Why does that story?
I'll explain it. So Frederick said that Spammy believed that similarly, sacrificing a boy would be penance for his own sins, and that even if the act itself was wrong, angels would prevent it if God did not approve. That's how I knew this works. So Spammy attempted the sacrifice once before, but was thwarted when a car drove past. Edward Budd was the next intended victim, but he turned out to be larger than expected, so he settled for Grace. Although he knew Grace was female, it is believed that Spammy perceived her as a boy because it would fit his narrative. So Frederick then detailed Spammy's cannibalism, which in his mind he associated with communion. Still, that's not how that works. The last question that Dempsey asked Frederick was 15,000 words long, detailed Spammy's life, and ended with asking how the doctor considered his medical condition based on this life. Frederick simply answered, "He is insane."
What the hell?
I mean, he's not wrong. The guy.
No, he's not. But I mean, still.
So Gallagher, it was the prosecution. Was the prosecuting attorney, cross-examined Frederick on whether Spammy knew the difference between right and wrong, because if you're insane, you're not supposed to understand, right and wrong. Frederick responded that that Spammy did know, but that it was a perverted knowledge based on his opinions of sin, atonement, and religion, and was thus an insane knowledge. The defense called 2 more psychiatrists to support these findings, as you do. So the first of 4 rebuttal witnesses was Manus Gregory, the former manager of the Bellevue Hospital, where Spammy was treated during 1930. Gregory testified that Spammy was abnormal but sane. Under cross-examination, Spammy's lawyer asked if coprophilia, urophilia, and pedophilia indicated a sane or insane person. Mr. Gregory replied that such a person was not mentally sick and that these were common perversions that were socially perfectly all right, and that Spammy was no different than millions of other people, some who are very prominent and successful, had the same perversions.
No.
That's not how that works.
Nope.
So the next witness was the resident physician at the Tombs, Perry Lichtenstein. Lawyer Dempsey objected to a doctor with no training in psychiatry testifying on the issues of sanity, but Justice Close overruled on the bias that the jury could decide what weight to give a prison doctor. I mean, which makes sense.
That's fair.
When asked whether Spammy causing himself pain indicated a mental condition, Dr. Lichtenstein replied, "That is not masochism." Did I say it right this time?
Masochism.
Masochism.
I know the word,
mechanism?
And then I look at it.
Mechanism? Like mechanism?
Mm-hmm.
What if we just call it mac and cheese?
Mac and cheese.
That is not mac and cheese.
So, I know the word in my brain, but then I see the word written down, and my brain goes, does not compute. Not same word.
Right.
Hashtag dyslexic over here.
Mm-hmm.
As Spammy was only punishing himself to get sexual gratification. And so that's not what that is, because he's only doing it to get, the happy feelings.
The happy feels. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's
not how this works.
No, any of this works.
Okay, Doris.
So
show us your Facebook wall.
Reveals the large wall behind the curtain. So the next witness, Charles Lambert, testified that coprophilia was a common practice and that religious cannibalism may be psychopathic, but was a matter of taste and not evidence of psychosis.
What? Repeat that
So
one more time. I just need to.
So
I don't think I heard that right.
Right.
The next witness, Charles Lambert, testified that coprophilia was a common practice and that religious cannibalism may be psychopathic, but was a matter of taste and not evidence of psychosis.
God fucking piece of shit.
Like, you heard me correctly. Like, I had to read it a couple of times too. Like,
throw the whole man away.
The next witness, James Vavasor, agreed with Lambert's opinion and repeated it.
What the fuck?
Yes, the term is "what the fuck." Absolutely.
Exactly.
She had a mouthful of cashews.
Another defense witness was Mary Nichols, Spammy's 17-year-old stepdaughter. She described how Spammy taught her and her brothers and sisters several games involving overtones of mac and cheese.
Mac and cheese.
And child molestation.
Games. Did you just say games?
Several games. Involving her and her siblings.
Those are not games. No.
Oh, no.
No.
He was seeing how much he could get away with, which makes me wonder if that's why his second wife left him after only a week. She went, something's not kosher here, and it's all of you.
I might not be an educated woman, but I know bullshit when I see it.
Right.
Oh, what is that? What is that quote that you used to do? Excuse me. What is that? Oh, that's bullshit. I smell.
So, none of the jurors doubted that Spammy was insane, but ultimately, as one later explained, they felt he should be executed anyways.
There you go.
They found him to be sane and guilty, and the judge sentenced the defendant to death by electrocution.
Hit him with the chair.
Okay,
not just part of the chair, the whole damn chair.
That was the last episode. Hit him with the chair.
Right. So he arrived at prison in March 1935 and was executed on January 16, 1936 in the electric chair at Sing Sing. He entered the chamber at 11:06 p.m. and was pronounced dead 3 minutes later. He is buried in the prison cemetery because nobody wanted to claim his body. So
I don't.
I wonder why.
Right.
Well, Emily, because he was a pedophile.
So I guess kids didn't want to have anything to do with him. Like they didn't want anything to do with him alive. Why would they want to deal with anything to do with him in death?
Look at Emily's face. I know you're so done with my bullshit. I'm sorry.
Well, that's like I'm not gonna say the name because she's going on a tirade right now. But recently released from prison. Now her mom's family, nobody wanted her ashes. So
you can say her name. I'll just bleep it out.
Yeah, so her mom.
Yeah.
No one wanted her mom's ashes.
No.
So they poured them into the toilet and flushed them.
Yep.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's one way to dispose, but
yeah.
I feel like that's not a I feel like that's a biohazard still.
The family was quoted saying, like, when we got the call she was dead, like, we're like, well, who'd she piss off this time? Like, nobody wanted her ashes, so they just flushed them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one way of disposal.
Okay, I really have to...
We shall be right here. Do.
Okay.
Okay, so now that she's gone, now that she's gone, you knew the whole fucking time she was coming up here?
Yeah.
You... I can't say that word. You bitch! You motherfucker!
Yeah, like, that is a tirade for another day.
Not today, because we
No.
have other angers we need to push out
and
for
I'm almost finished with this.
for spam.
So all this is going to get cut out. So,
Well, of course.
Shink!
I kept that on the last episode. Not Ed Kemper, but the other one. You just went shink. I kept it in.
yes. Anyway, so he was buried in the cemetery.
Mm.
It is said he is said to have helped the executioner place the electrodes on his body. And his last words were reportedly, "I don't even know why I'm here."
Are you fucking kidding me?
Because he
No.
killed people. That's what happens, Carl. You kill people.
And not just people, kids!
Yep.
Yeah. So according to one witness present, it took 2 jolts before he died, creating the rumor that the apparatus was short-circuited by all the needles he had self-inserted. These rumors were later regarded as untrue, as Spammy reportedly died in the same fashion and time frame as others in the electric chair. But I mean, it probably didn't help.
Thank you for being a
But-
censor, Emily. You're fine. I don't think we were looking.
I was like, okay, not even paying attention. And so, like I stated earlier, his lawyer met with reporters, and they tried to get him to say what was on, the final statement. And he's like, nah, fam. I didn't even want to read it. Like, this shit's disgusting.
Right.
So his known victims between 1924 and 1928, it is believed he killed at least 3 children. The only known ones that we know for certain is the Francis McDonald, Billy Gaffney, and Grace Budd. Ages are 8, 4, and 10. His suspected victims, of course, he denied involvement with any other murders, but he was a suspect in at least 12 others. Detective King believes Spammy may have been the Brooklyn vampire, who was a rapist and murderer who mainly preyed on children and teenagers in and around New York City area. It fits his MO.
Yeah.
So 2 of the victims of the Brooklyn vampire, which may or may not have been Spammy, was Yetta Ambra-Mowitz, who was 12, that was strangled and beaten on the roof of a 5-story apartment house in the Bronx on May 14th, 1927. She died in a hospital shortly after she was found. An unidentified man who matched Spammy's physical description was sighted trying to lure several local young girls into dark hallways and alleyways on the date of her death. Next one was the mutilated body of 16-year-old Mary Ellen O'Connor, who was found in the woods close to a house that Spammy had been painting in Far Rockaway, Queens on February 15th, 1932. So, possible victims. Scroll down too far.
You've gone too far.
It went from slow to really fast. So Spammy claimed to have sexually assaulted at least 100 boys, most of whom were African American or had developmental disabilities. And he claimed to have picked them because he believed the police would not investigate attacks on them.
So he was racist.
And ableist. Because
Love that.
disabled. So 5 of which is possible to put him because he had started that he had murdered a child in each of the 23 states that he lived in.
Oh.
Gross.
5 of which was Thomas Bedden, age 19, circa 1910. Emma Richardson, age 5, October 3rd, 1926. Emil Alling, age 4, July 13th, 1930. So literally right before, literally it all kind of adds up.
Mm-hmm.
Robin Jane Liu, age 6, May 2nd, 1931. And Benjamin Collings, age 17, December 15th, 1932. So just in between his other murders and right before he got caught.
Right. And because even though what he did was horrendous, because his call list wasn't as long as Dahmer or Gacy, we're not going to do minutes of silence, but let's go ahead and do just a moment.
And Em's over there stabbing herself.
No, she's stabbing Sam.
Well, no, I think that time she stabbed herself because she said, ow.
What are you sewing? Are you sewing a dress?
Yeah, her strap came off.
Oh, shit.
Oh, no! Well, I mean, better at home than, out in public in the middle of where you can't fix it.
Right.
Okay, so last little bit. So the documentaries. So a documentary film based on Spammy was released in 2007 and was directed by John Borowski. Also in 2007, the biographical film The Gray Man was released, starring Patrick Butro as Spammy.
Let me look it up.
Bauchau.
Bauchau.
Don't you be
He's
doing
a
that shit.
Belgian actor, Patrick.
What are you yelling at?
Oh, the power flickered, and I was like, "Don't you be doing that shit."
No, it's her. It's Mimi checking in.
Okay, well,
Oh, he's the same guy that did the bad guy in Panic Room.
Oh, okay.
Okay. He's a good. He has a lot of a range, but I'm looking at. This is disgusting.
Yeah. Anyways, so comedian Norm Macdonald used information from Sammy's crimes to set up a reoccurring joke on his podcast, Norm Macdonald Live. The joke included describing horrific elements of the crimes prior to setting up the intentionally anticlimactic punchline. This guy was a real jerk.
That's not funny.
Right. So there have been several songs written about him that were recorded by American extreme metal band Macabre, featured on their Grim Reality, Gloom, Sinister Slaughter, Behind the Wall of Sleep, and Carnival of Killers albums and EPs.
They have some pretty fucked up songs.
Yeah.
I've listened to them before, and then I stopped listening to them after I heard one particular one. So.
That's valid.
Mm.
Anyway, so I found we can always, you guys can probably Google it. So I found a photo of the medical examiner holding Grace's bones after they were dug up by the cops in a basket.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I had that open, and I just closed all of my windows.
Whoopsies.
My bad.
I also found a photo of basically what was a lost pamphlet that had. I was like, why did that zoom get really big for a second? Then I realized you were on there.
My bad.
No, it's fine.
So that's the photo, Emily. They essentially put it in a bread basket.
So that way they could, carry her. So I had also found a missings pamphlet that, they could hand out. She was 4 feet high in height.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw that. She was a child.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, she weighed 60 pounds at 10 years old. But granted, this was also
during the Great Depression.
Yeah. So, you kind of tightened your belt a little bit more, and you made do with what you had and what you could grow.
Right.
Yeah. And hope you made it,
to the next day.
Yep. But yeah, no, that's, from the pictures I saw, she was a pretty child.
Yeah, she was gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Never deserved that, though.
No.
None of these children did.
I don't think children deserve, except for those murderous children, because I've been binging that lately. I don't think children deserve any of the pain.
No.
The pain,
the trauma, none of it. You get him?
What'd she do?
She's sweating from sunburn that she got yesterday.
Oh, she was standing in front of the window AC. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. She is
I was like,
this is not
key.
So it's actually not as Red Lobster as it was yesterday.
Oh, good. So my go-to is milk and magnesia.
Mm-hmm.
You take a cotton ball and you kind of pat it on the sunscreen, the sunburn, and you let it dry. Makes a mess when it dries because it flakes off, but it draws the heat out of the burn. Same thing with vinegar.
Yep.
You use apple cider or white vinegar. I use whatever's on hand. It's usually white vinegar because we use it for the washing machine. And you do a 2-to-1 solution, 2 parts vinegar to 1 part water, just so it's not as strong. Soak cloths in it, lay it on the sunburn, refresh it as the cloth gets warm, draws the heat out. Same thing with cold black tea. Same process.
Yep.
And yeah, those are the
Remedies.
wives' tales remedies that my family has passed down.
We use the milk of magnesia.
Yeah.
But we do it in like a lotion.
Mm-hmm.
Like you just as thick as you can make it. And then you wait a little bit and then you take a cold shower. And then you do it again. And you keep doing it until it feels better.
Yeah. My mom had this old bottle of it, so it was like really thick.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just kind of it went on like lotion. Like we've since had, we've used that bottle, and we've had to get newer ones, and it's never gotten to that same thickness. And so we have to dab it on with cotton balls or a swab or something,
right?
So that way it doesn't just like run down. But Mom would put it on us and then put us in a t-shirt and send us to bed at night. So the shirt would kind of contain the mess, but
for aloe?
No, for the milk of magnesia.
It draws the heat out, so
it works.
Yeah.
And so Mom would stick it on us, put us in a shirt, throw us in bed, and then next morning take a shower, wash it off, reapply if necessary, but we'd have to change the sheets because all the white flakes from it would be all in the bed. But yeah, but that's all I've got for today.
Sexy. That was disgusting. I hated it.
You just said it was sexy.
Not. I'm saying spam and eggs. Spam and eggs was disgusting.
Yeah, he's yeah.
Right.
But this is the third episode from the Triple States. So we hope you guys enjoyed having a break.
Don't kill kids.
I think that explains for itself.
I enjoyed having the little break from all the death.
All the death?
Yeah.
Do you want to do that once a month?
There was still deaths in the States, but it was mostly paranormal stuff. So not murder.
Not like
there was a little murder, but
not
there's a little murder here and there, but not serial killer murder.
Do you guys want to do that once a month?
Sounds good.
I'm down.
Okay.
Like a little palate cleanser.
Let us know what you guys want to hear. I already know what I'm going to do for my next episode.
Okay.
Emily's gonna hate me for it, so you don't need to be on for that.
But it needs to be done. That way we can just cross it off the list.
Who is it? What is it?
I'll cut this part out. You said you have to go. We're doing 2 episodes today.
You're right.
Slightly regretting her decisions.
Well, I've got 2 baskets of laundry. I've got to make a cake. I've got to make apple pie. I need to
what kind of cake?
I'm making a homemade chocolate and raspberry cake.
But she's making humble pie. I
am making humble pie.
Who gets to eat the humble pie?
I'm bringing it to work tomorrow.
Is a certain person going to be there and have to eat humble pie?
It's a going away party for me and one other girl, and I'm making humble pie for the office to eat.
So
she can make a chocolate pie.
No, it's just regular cake, but the intentions are.
No, I get it. Eat my shit.
Eat my shit.
Oh, I gotta watch.
I already are. You had 2 slices.
to
You want to
Slice
put it on
Hilly.
while we're doing homework laundry?
Well, Emily, if you want to listen to the next episode, you'll hear all about that spooky place that you want to go to. Which I found out that they changed the address, much like the Gacy house. They changed the address for that.
Yeah, they had to. Would you like to spend a night at the house with me, my dear?
The house?
Yeah,
That one.
No.
The one the same.
we'll play D&D there.
No!
That doesn't make it any better.
Well,
I think the ghost would have fun.
I think it's been debunked.
Sorry. One, we can't bring a single man there because they like to convince patriarchs to be family annihilators.
And with that, stay spooky, you spooky
Stay
bitches.
safe.
Stay safe.
Stay safe.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Adios.
Goodbye. Next time on the Pandemonium Witches. It was first built in 1927 and has gone through several renovations and sales since it was originally constructed. The property was built on top of a Chinook burial ground. That is how it's built. And one of its previous owners, John Ketchum, was a renowned satanic worshiper. The creature was gone, and when he sprinted upstairs, a rocking chair was still moving back and forth when he arrived into the room, and a trail of giant cloven hoof prints were found in the snow on New Year's Day. Not a single owner have reported experiencing any paranormal activity in the house since.
Because it doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist.